Yeah, we sent the demo around for a few companies, and Tony Hatch picked up the demo, and he liked what we played and invited us down to Pie Studios, Marble Arch, and recorded 4 or 5 songs, and that was it.
You really had to take what was offered. You know, you didn't get 6 people knocking at your door, and the band actually thought they'd slightly missed the boat at that time because a lot of other bands had already been signed. So Tony Hatch was the one that saw the potential in, so he got the charge of looking after the band. And luckily, I think the good thing about Tony was not that he was a rock and roll producer or was not a rock and roll producer, but he saw that the band had their fingers on the pulse of what was happening at the time. The band could pick pretty good records at the time, although Tony of course did write Sugar and Spice, which is tailor-made, very good follow-up to Sweets for My Sweet, but the band had the knack of choosing the records, and he left the band to its own devices until he felt he had to step in and kind of like control things.
Well, we found needles and pins at the Star Club Hamburg when we watched Cliff Bennett Rubber Houses, Frank's old band, and we thought it had great potential, and we found out the original, which was Jackie D. Shannon, and we basically nicked it and did our arrangement of it. Yeah,
we'd been playing it for probably about 5 or 6 months before, not in a very commercial version. We copied Jackie DeShannon's original, which is a great record, but not commercial. And again, the Searchers had the knack at the time of stripping down songs and reassembling them in a much more commercial way. They ripped all the complicated stuff at the end of that song, repeated the first bit, and made it a really viable contender for the #1. Of course, it shot there, became the biggest hit.
I think because we had Tony Hatch and Ray Prickett as engineers and producer, and Ray Prickett was a classical engineer, and Tony was classically trained, and I think that's why ours turned out stereo before anyone else's.
Yeah, we had releases in America. Not every band from the UK had releases in the States. You had to have them at least balanced in stereo for America. They didn't initially release them in the UK on as stereo things. In fact, when I first got mine, I had to have them imported from the States, but they were recorded in stereo and very soon put out in stereo, yeah, because you just had to. Things had changed.
Yeah, that's why on sort of modern records now, all our instruments and vocals are all pretty well set. But you listen to the Beatles stuff, you don't hear any drums on one side, it's like a guitar over there, and it's the space in the middle. So we were very lucky in that aspect.
A lot of bands, when the kind of the flavour went out of it, you know, when we became less popular, some of them went back to kind of normal jobs, did whatever they were going to do, and they reformed once the revival kicked in. But we never actually disbanded at all. We struggled through the bad times, waited till everything kind of came upwards again, enjoying it all the time. I mean, there were good times and bad times, but in the most, we've had a really, really good career, and we love what we do. And again, going back to the earlier question about why do we do it, it isn't just about making a living. It's because it's just the thing that we loved doing when we were kids for a hobby, and we've got to do this for 40-odd years now as a paying concern, and it's fantastic for us. I wouldn't give it up for anything.